what's happening in Canada, just in general, is mirroring what's happening in China. Well, why do I say that? But remember the Tiananmen Square protests, when peaceful protesters went out they wanted to be free. They held up a Statue of Liberty replica. They put a rose down in front of it, or a flower down in front of the tank, and then, from all accounts, it went silent. But what we know now from Chinese dissidents is that many of them were killed. They were disappeared, never to be heard from again. And then China has implemented what we call the social score, where they track everything that you think and do and say, and you're given a score. And that score qualifies you to participate in life, really. So, like, if you say bad things about the president of China, about Xi, or about the system, you don't do so well on the score. And that means that you can't bank, you can't shop at some stores, you can't go out, you get that? You get what's happening? It's kind of like what we've been doing with the vaccination here, kind of a practice run on how we can isolate people and label them and then prevent them from living. We don't have to actually to kill them or beat them. We just isolate them from their money, their means of survival, and they just naturally fade away or die. And that's what's happening in Canada. And so David Sachs writes about this. A social credit system arrives in Canada. Justin Trudeau just created a caste of economic untouchables. Can we stop this dystopian policy from taking hold in America? And, of course, that is the issue. Banks, according to the order that he pronounced, have a duty to determine if one of their customers is a designated person. A designated person, this is Canada, can refer to anyone who directly or indirectly participates in the protest, including donors who provide property to facilitate the protest through crowdfunding sites. In other words, a designated person can just as easily be a grandmother who donated $25 to support the truckers as one of the organizers. They shut down Give and Go, took the $8 million. We don't even know what's happened to that. We know what they said they were going to do, but we don't know about that. The Canadian truckers, he writes, have been so thoroughly defamed as racists and bigots, and Nazis, by the way, by the media on both sides of the border that few are thinking about the nightmarish implications for ordinary citizens. And then this is where, I can now tell you, the CNN contributor I mentioned earlier who went after the protesters is Juliette Kayyem. And she said that Trudeau should slash the tires, empty gas tanks, arrest the drivers, cancel their insurance, suspend their driver's licenses, prohibit any future regulatory verification for the truckers. And then, of course, Trudeau did several of those things. Then she goes on and says, I will not run out of ways to make this hurt. Cruelty is the point. And so that's exactly what Justin Trudeau has done. And, of course, then China has this social credit system that does not altogether prohibit political dissent, but makes it so costly that it becomes impractical to be an ordinary citizen. Then he goes on to talk about the terrorism report that was just issued by the Department of Homeland Security, where those of us that spread online proliferation of false or misleading narratives regarding unsubstantiated widespread election fraud and COVID-19 are domestic terrorists. Yeah, you do know that happened, right? That was just issued by the Department of Homeland Security last week, I believe it was. Or the end of the week before that. So you see where this is going, don't you? And if you think that you're going to be exempt from this, if you somehow think that you can wait this out, you can wait it out. I wouldn't rush toward it, but you need to fight. When it comes to your door, you've got to fight. And you've got to fight for other people, too. You know, the Bible says that we don't look just on our own things, on our own concerns, our own comforts, our own families, our own jobs and livelihood. We must look to the things of others. When they suffer, we take on their suffering. What did Jesus do? He took on our suffering. He is our example. And what that means in your life, I can't fill in the blanks, but I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. You've had a moment where you had a choice as to whether you were going to stand strong or you were going to go safe. And remember, this is very harsh, but it's what the Bible says. The cowards will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Think about that.
Hey, remember, to click the subscribe button right here on the screen. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when new content is added. And more importantly than anything, you don't want to miss all 3 live hours of Financial Issues every day from 9 to noon. And you can watch it on FISM.tv. That's FISM.tv.